And I'm back with more Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Time to go. If we can find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is where prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks. How you doing? Hey, have you been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Ah, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly is this proposal of yours? There's that pause again. Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted a request. In the end, it would save everyone a lot of time and trouble. What's this all about, defendant? I just want to make a simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. What? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Whoa! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it is sufficiently proven through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. The request is legally valid, although this is unprecedented. Indeed, it appears that no further need for this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. The court finds this defendant... Objection! One moment. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any rulings at this stage would be certainly premature. Come now. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, huh? I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you might have thought me to be. With the sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal? Not everyone cooperates and operates like you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to... I don't care what you think. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this, mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth's taking the horse by the reins. Oh, this is great. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name's Emma Skye. I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark in the Joe Dark killings. Is that correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Please remember that this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is that incident of any relevance 2 years ago? Or, blah, the words. You know what I meant. It most certainly is. Well, okay then. I sure gave in. Now, please testify about what happened 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear is finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth. I was waiting for my sister's in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw. The man raised up his knife, and he stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does his testimony have to do with Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent. You've got to admire him, despite he has no evidence. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark and then the lights went out. The lights? It was just about that time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in the room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just before the lightning flashed again. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image in the scene of my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw. Yes, Detective Goodman, he was in charge of the case. The victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? That's what's so scary about this. And you told Detective Goodman what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. Well, Mr. Wright? This picture. I believe it's very important. But the list of evidence was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind adding the statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene, but it seems to have been lost. Ah! Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying it? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that the prosecutor for this case, I was not handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This is the evidence list? Please turn it over, Your Honor. Wow, what is this? What is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed, 2 men appear to be wrestling. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only prosecutor in charge should have access. These lists, they're different from each other. It would appear that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks where they were torn apart. It's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half the evidence reached you. What the? But why did you draw this picture at the end of the list? Because Detective Goodman handed me for questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list is torn in half, then... Your Honor! Are you all right? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If this evidence list is torn in half, there might be more to the drawing on the back of Edgeworth's list. It's quite conceivable. It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Sorry. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's the thing! The thing! The thing was dancing in the evidence room! Clearly, this is an act of vandalism! I guess he was out of scrap paper. Very well. Will you please testify to this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yeah. What's wrong with her? She seemed to be thinking about something. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. The picture says exactly what I saw in that instant. To think a flash of lightning would burn such an image. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may begin its cross-examination. Stabbed in the back. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the picture that witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I remember it like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy? The contradiction here. Take a look at the knife. If you look closely, you'll see the tip is broken. Even I don't have to look that closely. But Mr. Wright, the murder weapon, the tip is broken. It's the conclusive piece of evidence. I'm afraid it's not so simple. Then pray tell, what could be a problem? It's obvious. He suffered a stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon would not yet be broken. What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. But this was... The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory was mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she remembered it clearly. I believe you were annoyed. But she sure remembers it clearly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast. There is one other explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the other piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. Ugh! Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there's a lie. But I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of being two broken knives? Another broken knife? Could there have been one? The witness is adamant about the accuracy. It can't just be explained by simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken. Take a look at this. The real murder weapon. The answer lies in the past. Right here in this picture. This is the picture of... Huh? It's the... broken murder weapon! Notice the award that Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife! I thought that was the judge saying it. As we concluded earlier, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood this award. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given a broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he didn't carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he'd had in a dangerous situation. But that can't be. And why not? Because it's the King of Prosecutors award knife was the weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, the man raising the knife would have been Prosecutor Marshall. Ah! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. Witness. Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me that evidence list again? His list? It's one with a picture? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this. The time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the badger? This should be interesting. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards the both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw a shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't designed him at that point. That would mean he didn't even exist. Yes, well, the defense may... Stop! Please! Don't pursue any further! What the hell? Wow! Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this! I've already confessed to the crime! Could you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye. We're already come this far. It's too late to turn back. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Please detain the defendant. Seems we're finally getting to the core of it. 2, 3. This mysterious blue badger was in fact this! But what could that be? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, I don't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's a plain jar. However, what if we were to change its viewpoint? Change it? I've got to show them the correct angle. Wait. Allow me to remind the defense that it hinges on this drawing. Come on, god damn it. Ugh. Vertical adjustment to face the fat end towards you. 2 handles to northwest and northeast and north. God, I'm doing that! Well, at least they're not fucking up my thing here. Ugh. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can deny its resemblance. Well, that took forever. Fuck, dude. Order! The defense has proven its claim. This mysterious blue badger is definitely this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So this thing's actually a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong. You see, this changes everything. Well, what's different now about what we witnessed? Allow me to take things in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add. Knowing this, where could she have seen it? Where? The location of the jar was shown in a picture taken the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office next to Mr. Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Skye's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it's these two facts that reveal what exactly transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Skye's office. It happened in the other side of the room, in Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Skye's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was. Do you know what that reason was? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. Looks like it's too late to quit now. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have been the impact the man made against the wall? Ladies and gentlemen, if I draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? A suit of armor, holding a very sharp sword. And since the man who was knocked into the suit of armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. You can't be thinking... Yes, there's another possibility of what transpired. Another possibility. Of course the perpetrator would have no idea, but nevertheless... I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense asserts, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Marshall. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances... Joe Dark murdered Marshall! How could you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out that Emma did it, wasn't it? I assure you I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, you're gonna have to show proof. Tell me, do you have any evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? I'm willing to bet you don't. It certainly is difficult to prove that with evidence. If we don't have any, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. What do you mean? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name was left behind. The message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright! Would you stop at nothing to prove my sister's a murderer? Do not be mistaken. Our purpose is not to accuse her of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. This message was left by the deceased. The surface of the jar. I was about to say, did I mess up? Fucking hell. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. But notice, for some reason the blood was not wiped away. There is a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is, These dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used few precious moments to leave behind a message that someone could have wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar. Precisely. All we have to do is connect those points, and the victim's message becomes apparent. No. What kind of message did the victim leave? I believe these bloodstains will reveal the answer. I've got to connect these. There's only one thing the victim could have written. His murderer's name. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client innocent. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I didn't think it would turn out this way. Emma. So this is the final message he left. Of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Seaworthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gett, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor on that case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Or whatever that sound effect was. Crack! But Joe Dark was really a serial murderer. That's unmistakable. Undeniable. There's that pause again. I'm afraid that's not what's important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't a cover-up for evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone might say, this fact can't be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? How could he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where was this trial headed? No one knows. We're almost done, but we still got quite a ways to go. But that'll do it for today. And I'll see you guys next time. Whoops. Whoops.